In today's world, we are more connected than ever, but we may also feel more alone. Technology, social media, and the fast pace of daily life can distance us from real human interaction, leaving us feeling isolated in a crowded room. But what if there was a way to find balance in the chaos? A way to remain calm in the storm of our everyday lives? Welcome to Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that's more relevant today than ever. It teaches us resilience, emotional intelligence, and the power of perspective. In this video, we'll explore how Stoicism can help us lead a more fulfilled and peaceful life, providing practical tools to navigate our complex world with wisdom and serenity. People spend a lot of time on social media and computers, but do we really connect with the people around us? The quality of our relationships needs to be looked at again. The key to attracting quality relationships will be explored in this video. Discover how historical philosophy can help us change our standards, get around problems in the present, and choose a life partner. We'll talk about love that isn't based on romance. It's not true that people fall in love at first sight, as shown in romance stories. Real love goes deeper and needs care and work all the time. Let's take these ideas out of the dark and find out how real love grows and gets stronger over time. True love is developed on a deeper level. In today's world, the idea of love at first sight is everywhere. Romantic stories and movies often show this. It's important to understand, though, that this quick portrayal is more of a myth than the truth. Genuine love, the kind that creates long-lasting, high-quality relationships, needs to be cared for over time, like a plant that needs to be watered, given light, and kept safe. Love needs work, loyalty, patience, and commitment all the time. It's a journey that requires unshakable trust and loyalty, which aren't things that can be learned overnight. Think of a relationship as a garden. It needs to be planted with the seeds of understanding, conversation, and empathy in order to grow and bear fruit. These seeds need to be watered regularly with commitment, respect, and mental support. Love starts to grow and get stronger over time, building strong roots that can stand up to weather. But, like any garden, there may be dry spells along the way. These are times when problems, mistakes, and differences test the relationship. It's important to remember that true love is resilient and can get through tough times with patience and understanding from both partners. Understanding that love isn't something you discover all at once, but rather a journey of growth, building, and maturity is the first basic point in attracting relationships' quality. Value hard work, loyalty, and trust, because they make a relationship into something truly special and long-lasting. In order to draw quality relationships, it's important to understand how feelings work. It is very important to learn how to understand and separate feelings. A lot of the time, we mix up real love with obsession or short-lived sexual desire. We can get into bad relationships because of this confusion, which can leave deep scars in our lives. So, understanding feelings is a very important part of this quest. To begin, it's important to differentiate between love and addiction. Intense, frequently illogical feelings that can lead to bad actions are what are known as obsession. On the other hand, real love is calm, thoughtful, and measured. Being too protective, controlling, or jealous isn't a sign of it. Instead, accepting and respecting the partner's uniqueness is. In the same way, it's important to know when we're just physically attracted to someone. Physical desire should not be confused with love, even though it is a normal and healthy part of relationships. Even though it can be powerful, it's not enough to keep a quality, long-term relationship going. Understanding how we feel also means figuring out when we're in a bad relationship. It's important to maintain your self-esteem and understand when it's time to move on if your partner hurts you frequently, doesn't care about your feelings, and doesn't respond to your attempts to communicate. I know it will be hard at first, but making this choice is important for your long-term mental health. Understanding how you feel is a process of self-discovery. You can help yourself through this process by thinking about your feelings and, if necessary, going to therapy or counseling. We are better able to choose relationships based on real and healthful love when we learn to understand and differentiate between our feelings. Mutual understanding, respect, and open conversation are the building blocks of good relationships. Know when to move on and value yourself. Recognizing the worth we each bring to the table and being brave enough to know when it's time to move on are both crucial steps on our path to quality relationships. This third point is about how important it is to value yourself and keep your self-esteem up, even if it means making tough choices. In order to draw quality relationships, one must first value themselves. You set healthy standards when you value yourself and expect to be treated with respect and honor. This keeps you from getting into bad relationships where your wants and feelings aren't taken into account. Figuring out when you're stuck in a bad relationship is a part of self-evaluation. It's important to keep your self-worth and respect if your partner hurts you over and over again, like by emotionally abusing you, not talking to you, or betraying you. Even though it's hard to decide, it's important for your mental health in the long run. But also keep in mind that time can heal even the darkest scars. Scars are real, but they won't always be there. It's important for your happiness and mental health to have the courage to move on. Even though it's painful, the end of a relationship can sometimes be a chance to grow as a person and meet someone who really cares about and respects you. It's important to understand that you can't change other people. If someone doesn't want to change, you can't make them. It can be helpful to follow the principles of Stoicism when dealing with a relationship that isn't working, accepting what is out of your control rather than waste energy on things that cannot be changed. Leave behind anything that does not contribute to your happiness and look to the future with confidence. Don't forget that you are more than your short-lived thoughts and feelings. In order to draw quality relationships that truly share your respect and appreciation, you must first value yourself. This is an act of self-love. Look below the surface. It's important to not focus only on outward appearance when looking for quality relationships. Attraction is important, but it shouldn't be the only thing you look for in a life partner. This fourth point stresses how important it is to look for relationships based on more than just surface-level traits. Physical attractiveness is without a doubt the first act of attraction, but it changes over time and is transient. If a relationship is built on looks alone, things will get hard when the other person's looks start to fade. So, it's important to look for a tie that goes deeper than the surface and stays strong and alive over time. The quality of a relationship goes beyond how the two people look. It should be based on smarts, friendship, faith, and helping each other out. Anyone who you feel fine sharing both happy and sad times should be your dream partner. When picking a life partner, you should also think about the possibility of starting a family. An important sign of a quality relationship is having confidence that your partner is someone you want to raise children with. Focusing only on finding someone who meets social standards of beauty limits your choices and could result in relationships that aren't very deep. It's important to concentrate your efforts on finding someone with whom you can share a real connection, someone who can be your best friend, a trusted counselor, and someone who can provide constant support in difficult times. The main takeaway from this point is that quality relationships are built on more than just outward look. They are built on faith, respect, and understanding between each other. So, if you want to find true love and relationships that last, Don't settle for superficial relationships. Accept the things you can't change. Understanding and internalizing the idea that some things are outside of our control is essential to our development of quality relationships. This fifth point emphasizes the importance of accepting what cannot be changed and how this acceptance can help us find important relationships. The human experience includes both rejections and disappointments. We have no say over how someone feels about us. Rejection doesn't always mean we're not good enough to be loved or that there is something seriously wrong with us. Instead, it often means that we aren't compatible with that person or that they didn't see our true potential. Being emotionally mature means accepting things we can't change. It enables us to release the ongoing need for everyone's support and acceptance. Realizing that there are lots of people in the world with different ideas and tastes can help us get over the disappointment that comes with being turned down. It's important to remember that the world is big and full of different kinds of people when you're being turned down or let down in love. We're getting closer to the yes that will change our lives with every no we hear. Love and quality relationships can, after all, appear out of the blue and at odd times. Not only does accepting what we cannot change help us deal with rejections, but it also fosters a resilient attitude. That gives us the confidence to look to the future and makes room for chances that we might miss otherwise. The main takeaway from this point is that accepting what we can't change is a necessary part of developing quality relationships. It gives us the strength to let go of the need to constantly seek praise and to seize the chances the world presents. We get closer to the yes that can change our lives with each rejection. Quality relationships require a commitment to each other's growth. In a world that is always changing and where relationships are important, it is important to be committed to your own and your partner's improvement. Commitment to improvement, both personally and with your partner, is key to making relationships last and mean something. You and your partner are both always changing, and continuous evolution takes that into account. As people go through life, they all go through changes. It's important to help each other grow and be open to the changes that happen over time. Clear and honest conversation builds a strong base for the relationship. Understanding each other's needs and working together to solve challenges require open communication about goals, ambitions, difficulties, and concerns. Giving your partner support and motivation means always being there for them in their goals and efforts. Help people grow as people and be there for them when things get tough. When two people accept and respect each other's choices and values, they are practicing acceptance and respect. Keep in mind that understanding and accepting differences are the foundation of a quality relationship. Setting goals and targets for the relationship is part of shared growth. It could be a job goal, a family goal, or any other goal that everyone shares. Working together to reach these goals makes the relationship stronger between partners. It's important to give each other room to grow while still being committed to joint growth. Each person should continue to grow on their own. Being ready to learn from problems and mistakes is part of continuous learning. Growth doesn't always happen in a straight line, and problems can be a chance to learn and make the relationship stronger. This point highlights the importance of loyalty to one's own and one's partner's growth in quality relationships. Making a promise to help each other grow improves the bond and makes it easier to deal with life's difficulties. This makes the relationship more lasting and important. The idea that love is, above all, a conscious choice in quality relationships will be covered in the seventh point. It is questioned the idea that love can happen magically and right away, as is often idealized. Instead, we stress how important it is to consciously choose to love and care for the relationship. Understanding that love is more than just a feeling, but a deliberate choice, is part of deliberate choice. It means making the choice every day to love, respect, and support your partner no matter what. True love is defined by loyalty and commitment. With this kind of pledge, you promise to always be loyal and loving to your partner, no matter what problems may come up. Quality relationships can withstand storms and difficulties because of their resilience. Being committed to conscious love helps you build the strength you need to deal with problems and come out stronger on the other side. A shared growth pledge means that both people want the relationship to grow and improve. It means that you will learn, grow, and change over time together. To understand and accept someone, you have to admit that no one is perfect and that everyone makes mistakes. Accepting flaws and learning to forget are two aspects of it. For aware love to last, there must be open conversation. Part of mindful love is being able to talk about your feelings, needs, and wants in a polite and open way. When you choose respect, you treat each other with respect, even when you don't agree with them. By celebrating differences in conscious love, two people understand that these differences can make the relationship stronger and lead to growth and understanding. Love as a choice is a way of life that values loyalty, strength, and growth for both partners. The story of love is changed from something that just happens to something that is actively grown and cared for in quality relationships by this new understanding. One of the best ways to build a strong, long-lasting relationship is to choose to love. In our search for quality relationships, we've looked at 7 basic ideas that affect how we understand love and make deep bonds with other people. Thinking about these things helps us understand that strong, healthy relationships are not by chance, but the result of choices we make and actions we take on purpose. We've learned that true love doesn't just happen. It takes careful development, commitment, and patience over time, growing stronger based on shared understanding, commitment, and understanding. We've also learned how important it is to be able to tell the difference between our feelings, like real love, passion, and just physical attraction. This mental clarity helps us avoid bad relationships and build good ones. A key component of finding quality relationships is knowing how to value oneself and when to move on. This action not only keeps our self-esteem high, but it also leads to better chances. True love, as we've seen, is not just about physical beauty. Intelligence, friendship, and mutual support are the foundations of strong relationships. Accepting what we can't change teaches us to release the need for constant praise and seize the chances that life offers. In addition, committing to mutual growth in relationships makes the tie stronger and helps people deal with life's problems, which makes the relationship last longer and be more meaningful. The viewpoint changes from seeing love as something that just happens to something that is actively fostered by understanding that love is a choice. These 7 points help us remember that love is a journey and a choice as we look for quality relationships. The prize is having a deep relationship with the people we choose to love. Let's use these lessons to improve our lives, contribute to our development, and guarantee our long-term happiness and health. Have you ever felt like you weren't important? Without a doubt, it's a bad feeling, but it's even worse when it's someone close to you, like a family friend or partner. Is it true that there are tried and true ways to become important in someone's life? You can actually prove to yourself that it is possible to reach this goal if you understand and use what we're going to talk about next. There are steps you can take to make sure that people always put you at the top of their list. If you do these things, you can make sure that someone always puts you first in their life. It is very important to understand the main problem before starting to work on an answer. The first step in fixing a problem is to understand it. What makes you feel like you're not a concern right now? This needs to be simple and straight. Why do they choose to spend their time with someone else instead of you? That's the important question. Researchers have found 2 reasons for this. They know you'll always be there for them, which makes them value you less. And they don't see you as an important part of their lives. They would rather spend time with other people than with you because of this. I know this fact can be hard to hear, but it's important to understand it. You need to change the way you do things by learning the answer now that you understand the problem. Step 1. Stop striking up conversations. You might want to take a step back if you're always the one to start talking to someone important in your life. This may seem illogical, since you should be the one to start a conversation if you want to be important in someone's life. It's not true. People start to take you for granted when you're always the one who starts the conversation. It takes a while for them to adjust to your efforts, and then they find you less important. So, what's the answer? Stop starting conversations and see what happens as a result. That person will try to get in touch with you if they really care about you. Step 2. Don't be out there all the time. The phrase quality over quantity is often used in many areas of life, including relationships. You might need to be less available if you want to be important in someone's life. People will likely take you for granted if you're easy to reach. This doesn't mean you should only be available when it's convenient for you, but if you're always available and open, it's time to put yourself first and show that you have a life outside of them, not just waiting for them to value you more. Step 3. Keep things a little mysterious. People are pulled to relationships where there is a lot of mystery and the unknown. If you want to be seen as important, being a little mysterious can help. Don't tell everyone everything about yourself right away. Drop hints about the things you like that you don't want to say. Avoid going into too much detail about your past when answering questions. The other person should be interested in you and want to know more about you. They'll start to see you as important in their life over time. Keeps alive. Step 4. Let them put money into you. Which person is more likely to see you as important? Someone who has put a lot of effort into you or someone who hasn't? It's easy to see the answer. In order for someone to value you, you need to let them put money into you. There are several ways to do this. One way to do this is to refuse plans you know you can't keep and let them spend their time in you. Make them wait for you to show that your time is important because you're not always available. People will get the idea that you're not like other people and that they need to put in more effort to get your attention. This will push them to see you as a task and give you more attention. Step 5. Take care of what you need. This doesn't mean being selfish, but it does mean making sure you don't put yourself in a place where you're not important. For instance, if you know someone doesn't care about you and won't treat you the way you deserve, spend time with people who do. Remember that you have no power over how other people feel about you, only how you feel about yourself. Being important in someone else's life means that you are important to yourself first. 6th step. Don't make yourself the most important thing in their life. Did you know that people often act in a way that they can't have what they want? It is true. Something is more valuable to someone if they feel like they have to work hard for it. Don't need their attention so badly. That will make them value you more. Step 7. Make people afraid of losing you. One of the most effective ways to get someone to put you first is to manipulate their emotions. People are often more driven by the thought of losing something than by the chance of getting it. Make someone afraid of losing your company if you want them to see you as important. Spend more time with other people and less time with them. Mentally distance yourself from them and feel less connected to them. They'll feel less important to you as a result. This tactic is effective, but it should be used with caution because they may try to win you back if you keep your distance too much. Step 8. Make your own happiness happen. You should make your own happiness and not count on other people to make you happy if you want to be important in someone's life. It's great to have someone we can count on who makes us feel good, but putting our happiness in their hands can lead to disappointments. When we count on other people to make us happy, we're not really living our lives according to our own plans and goals. This could make people angry. Creating your own happiness is important if you want to be important in someone else's life. People will find you more beautiful because you'll look more balanced and sure of yourself. This will also make you happy in the long run. Step 9. Be ready to leave. You have to take this step if you want to be important in someone's life. It might be scary. You can send the message that you won't settle for less than you earn by showing that you're not afraid to leave. If they're interested in you, the right person will easily put you first and work to keep you in their life. Stoicism is a useful tool that teaches you how to develop your skills and have the courage to live your life the way you've always desired if you want to have the courage to act. Zeno of Citium came up with Stoicism 300 years before Christ. He was a great businessman until his ship sunk and he lost everything. He started reading about philosophy when he got to Athens to try to figure out what had happened. He studied under Crates, who was one of the best thinkers in Athens, and later started his own school of thought called Stoicism. The Stoics were different from other schools because they wanted to talk to people about life and how to make it better. Stoicism made its way to Rome with Marcus Aurelius and reached the empire through slaves like Epictetus and important people like Seneca. At that time, the rule was that women couldn't learn. Instead, women held convivia, which was like a get-together with friends to talk about spiritual ideas. In this part of the video, we'll use some of these lessons to talk about 7 things we need to do to face our fears and improve our sense of self-worth, safety, and confidence. Do not doubt yourself. Fear of failing to feel capable when trying something new characterizes ordinary lives. Epictetus, who was born a slave, had very little chance of becoming one of the most famous Stoic leaders and thinkers. Even though he was a slave among the sons of the richest men in his time, he believed in his ability to add value and learn. A lot of us feel like confidence is something we're born with. We think that if we don't have it at birth, we won't have it for the rest of life. It can be hard to believe in yourself when you're having bad feelings, like when you think you have nothing to give the world or that you don't deserve what you want or have. But this isn't true. I never thought, for example, that people couldn't change. I've always looked for ways to learn and get better since I was a child. That's how I learned about Stoicism. But when the idea of creating a channel about this came up, I was hesitant, believing I had nothing to give. I'm truly happy with the changes each of you are making in your lives after reading your comments and compliments today. Imagine that you're having a hard time seeing all the great things about yourself and how you can help make the world a better place. In that case, a few easy acts can help you believe in yourself again. Make a list of all the goals you've already reached and set new ones for the future to boost your confidence. Make new friends, have helpful talks, look for different ways to look at life, look for chances to use your skills, and do a great job of taking care of yourself. Another thing is to not doubt yourself too much. When you doubt yourself, plan too much, and think too much, you become an inactive wimp. The relationship between overthinking and cowardice is depicted in a song called The Centipede's Dilemma, which is often credited to Catherine Crater. In the poem, a centipede walks without any problems until a frog asks it how it moves with all 100 legs. The centipede is confused about how to organize its legs as it thinks about this and then suddenly can't move. In the same way, when we think too much, we get stuck in confusion and can't act as bravely as we used to. We were not only meant to think and plan, but also to act. When we think too much about the past or the future, we get stuck because our thoughts make us afraid. The will and guts to act, however, become inevitable when our attention is solely on the here and now, because we no longer have time to dwell on all the bad things that could happen. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Concentrate every minute like a Roman on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, freeing yourself from all other distractions. Stop letting your emotions overpower what your mind tells you. We cannot predict the future, regardless of predictability studies. We know everything can fail. Think clearly. Our thoughts are often on autopilot, leading us to judge everything we encounter. When we view our lives as I like and I dislike, everything we don't like becomes torture, resulting in complete suffering. The same goes if we replace it with I feel confident to do this and I have no security to do this. But if we think clearly in each situation, we can see our activities, obligations, or goals without the weight of emotions, fears, or past negative experiences. Consider Igor. He's getting his driver's license, attended all the classes, practiced on weekends with his brother. But just thinking about the practical exam makes him so tense and anxious that he panics on exam day. Overwhelmed by anxiety, Igor ends up stalling the car, failing the test. He didn't evaluate the exam clearly based on his abilities and preparation. He let his fears and insecurities cloud his judgment. Stoicism teaches us to act more consciously after the initial emotional impression. We should transcend the initial fantasy. Instead of being driven by fear and insecurity, take control and act calmly and resiliently. When you adjust your mindset accordingly, you'll find that things no longer bother you as they once did, and you'll navigate life much more easily. Seek solutions, not culprits. Our internal fears love to seek culprits instead of solutions, because finding a solution requires the difficult task of making a real change within ourselves. Transferring responsibility to someone else, sometimes asking others not to blame you, seems like an overwhelming demand. However, frequently blaming others produces the opposite result of finding a solution to your problems. Rather than considering how or what's the right way to resolve the issue at hand, you'll begin thinking about who's truly to blame for the situation. The antidote to blaming others is humility. Contrary to common beliefs, understanding how to face the consequences of our actions and mistakes isn't just an exercise in maturity, but a powerful boost for personal growth. Learning to take responsibility for our actions not only promotes personal development, but also contributes to building healthy relationships. Find beauty in your mistakes. Making mistakes in life is inevitable. If you fear making them, you'll become a slave to perfectionism, afraid to act lest you make a mistake. No matter how excellently we do things, aiming for perfection will never be achievable. Excessive fear of making errors and never being satisfied with your efforts turns us into ruthless critics, not only of ourselves, but also of those around us. Living constantly on high alert, analyzing every step in search of signs of failure, is a tiring journey. However, there's a potential liberation from this vicious cycle, finding beauty in making mistakes. The Japanese art of kintsugi transforms a broken object into something beautiful by mending cracks with gold, silver, or platinum lacquer. The cracks in the object are not meant to be ignored, but highlighted. They become the central focus and the most beautiful parts of the object. Likewise, in life, most of us carry the weight of our past, including visible scars we've gained along the way. Even today, the fragility of our lives might be apparent, and our imperfections are intertwined within us. The devastation of time leaves marks, scars, cracks, and signs of continuous damage and repair. Often, we try to conceal these imperfections, but kintsugi doesn't hide the history of breakage. It accentuates it, making it a beauty feature rather than something to be concealed. Rationalize your fears. Epictetus suggests that our primary task is to rationalize our fears and free ourselves from the dominion of our sorrows and fears. When he became a teacher, he emphasized rationalizing our fears. If we meticulously analyze each fear, we'll see that many of them lack a real basis, and the only reason we feel fear is due to a larger fear, the fear of social judgment. He challenges us to recognize that in many cases, these fears are actually desires. For instance, when we fear losing our jobs, it's not just because we'll become unemployed and afraid, but also due to the critical look of others and amplified by the possibility of being labeled as failures in front of everyone. Today's world thrusts fears that defy logic upon us. Excessive possessions and consumerism breed so many fears and anxieties within us that it's easy to succumb to the illusion that every desire is a vital need for our existence. Consider the fear of not owning a car. This specific fear can generate anxiety in many people, leading us to believe that owning a car is crucial for survival. Although a car greatly facilitates life, ultimately it's just a means of transportation, and there are many other transportation methods we can use without needing to own a car. Just like with public transportation or ride-sharing services, there are some fears that have stayed the same throughout history. For example, the fear of not having clean water, food, shelter, safety, or facing deadly dangers are all fears that our ancestors had. Because of this, we should think about what we fear today and separate the fears that are reasonable from the ones that we think are reasonable. One way Epictetus encourages people to overcome fears is by studying philosophy. In his case, it was philosophy that elevated his awareness of his fears and how to deal with them. Philosophy is a remedy to see life as it truly is, empowering our minds to discern what deserves our attention and what we should abandon. It makes us more aware of our fears, whether they're rational or irrational. We can also make sense of our fears by challenging ourselves, like those who climb mountains even though they fear heights. Just ensure that you analyze and perceive them for what they really are objectively. Humble yourself to learn, although it may seem strange at first. Humbling oneself and courage are closely linked. In history, the tale of the emperor's new clothes illustrates the connection between pride and cowardice. When you're overly proud, it can make you cowardly about anything that might hurt your ego, just like the emperor, who wouldn't admit he couldn't see the non-existent clothes out of fear of appearing foolish or incompetent. Therefore, by humbling yourself, you become more courageous, as you're no longer afraid of making mistakes, being wrong, or hurting your ego. Remember how small your part of the matter is, how brief and fleeting is your allocation of time, how small a role you play in fate. Fear not the judgment of others. The difference between a sophist and a Stoic is that a sophist seeks knowledge to be applauded by others, while a Stoic seeks knowledge to improve oneself without worrying about others. In our life, whichever direction we take, we will encounter those who will build us up and those who will tear us down, or at least try to. But there is a way that can help us avoid this, which is to remain static, not take any direction, stay in place, or never progress. But what benefit really comes from doing nothing out of fear of displeasing someone? In this situation, what is the difference between us and a mere stone? We will just continue to exist, but it's not merely existing that makes us special. It's our journey, our path, and the difficulties we face as human beings that make us grow and flourish intellectually and even physically. The criticisms or opinions of others about us are not under our control, and since they are not under our control, we shouldn't give them too much importance. Instead, what is under your control is acceptance. We should accept that with every action we take, we will be judged. If that is the price we have to pay to achieve our goals, then pay the price. You should not fear. By following these 7 principles, you can overcome your inner fears and become braver by exploring the things you truly desire, the knowledge that drives you forward, and the horizons you wish to live. A few years ago, I went through a very trying time in my life. I had a job that didn't satisfy me, where more than one person dictated what I should or shouldn't do, with colleagues with whom I had difficulties and a rather rocky relationship. I also felt like my life was slipping out of my control, and each day was an uphill battle that seemed to never end. Believe me when I say that the changes were remarkable. Anxiety and stress started to give way to calmness and inner peace. My decisions became more clear and in line with my values and virtues. Most importantly, I started finding a deeper meaning in every day after reading more than 10 books about Stoicism. I became so fascinated by this philosophy that I decided to share it with everyone. Now I want to share with you how Stoicism can be used as a starting point to change your own lives. Let's explore the core principles of this philosophy and talk about how to use them in real and contemporary world situations. We'll also see how these principles can be a useful compass for facing the challenge of starting over and creating a more meaningful life. Stoicism, in a brief summary that does not fully capture its depth, is an ancient philosophical current centered on the development of virtue, self-control, and wisdom. Stoicism offers practical tools to be applied in everyday life, such as managing stress, dealing with anxiety and depression, making decisions, and seeking lasting happiness. In this part of the video, we will explore some important Stoicism principles and how they can be used in everyday life. We'll talk about the value of virtue, accepting imperfection, and living in accordance with our values. Stoicism can help you start over and build a better, more meaningful life. But remember that this philosophy is only meant to guide and help. It cannot completely change you. Let's move forward and discover together how this ancient yet modern philosophy can change our lives, just as it changed mine and made me a new man. Imagine being able to wipe the slate clean and start over. Would you do it? Restarting your life doesn't necessarily mean forgetting or ignoring your past. Rather, it means using the lessons you've learned to create a more promising and prosperous future. The act of starting over is a balanced dance between learning from our mistakes and moving forward with renewed hope. Our responses to situations reflect our own perceptions. If we see the world as a hostile place, we act in self-defense. But if we face it benevolently, our actions reflect love. Stoicism invites us to question and adjust our perceptions about life, to objectively and clearly see reality without letting uncontrolled emotions obscure it. As Seneca aptly put it, we often suffer more in imagination than in reality. What he meant was that sometimes we suffer for something that hasn't happened yet, or suffer only in our minds, which might never occur. If we considered each obstacle as an opportunity, authentic Stoics viewed challenges not as cruelties of fate, but as exercises that strengthen the spirit, a new path, a way for you to go even further than before. They encouraged us to see difficulties as opportunities for growth, reminding us that just as fire purifies gold, adversity refines strong individuals, making us stronger and better each day. In his meditations, Marcus Aurelius didn't share his happiness with the world, but rather his most intimate reflections, daily reminders about living with authenticity and purpose. Stoicism tells us that everything changes, including happiness, pain, success, and loss. It asks us to live with an open mind, to enjoy the important moments, but be ready to let them go. Epictetus said, "Remember that you have to die, that you don't have to die angry, but free." Stoicism teaches us to value ourselves, to find strength in hardship, and to live on purpose. I know it's hard for some to deal with disrespect or any other situation where Stoicism tells us to remain silent, but it's very important for a happy life. It stresses the importance of living in harmony with both the outside world and our inner nature. The ultimate goal of Stoicism is to achieve eudaimonia, or human flourishing. This involves practicing virtues like wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Stoicism encourages us to live a life of virtue and moral character. I hope you find inspiration and practical guidance from the principles of Stoicism as we journey through life together. Stoicism is a philosophy that must be lived, not just understood. Let's move forward together. Trust is an important part of all relationships, whether they're with family, friends, or partners. What's being said here is the kind of behavior that might be upsetting, which should make you pay close attention to certain traits. Some traits may not seem important, but analyzing both comments and actions doesn't have to be too hard. I'll go over each of these types of words, explaining why it might be wise to avoid putting all your trust in them. If someone exhibits suspicious behaviors, it might be appropriate not to consider that person as a genuine friend or partner whom you can bring into your life. The first type of person is easily offended. They criticize everything, especially other people. When we watch someone criticize others, we can learn more about their character than about the person being criticized. This critical attitude can reveal important things about the person in question. To keep healthy and constructive relationships, it's important to know when to steer clear of such behavior. People who constantly gossip, spread rumors, and try to ruin others' reputations are among those who don't act with quality in their lives. They take advantage of people's flaws to stand out in friendships, and you might be the one being criticized right now as you watch this video. The second type of person is the one who seems to be friendly to everyone, always smiling, wishing you the best, and claiming to be available to help you at any time. Caution is warranted because someone who aims to please everyone and maintains a positive image is often more interested in their own popularity than in genuine relationships. The third type of person you should avoid trusting and respecting are manipulative people. It's imperative to preserve healthy relationships and protect emotional well-being. Manipulators are characterized by selfish behavior, seeking personal advantages at the expense of others. These individuals often use manipulative tactics like lies, psychological games, and emotional exploitation to achieve their goals. Manipulation can manifest in subtle ways, making it challenging to detect immediately, occurring in various contexts from personal relationships to professional environments. Trusting manipulators can result in betrayal, emotional harm, and a breach of trust. Identifying signs of manipulation is crucial to protect oneself. This includes observing a lack of transparency, inconsistent behavioral patterns, and a constant feeling of being controlled. Setting clear boundaries is essential. Assertively communicating and expressing discomfort in the face of manipulative behavior is one way. However, oftentimes distancing oneself is the wisest choice, especially if manipulation persists. Respecting one's integrity involves recognizing when a relationship is harmful and taking action to preserve mental health. This may mean cutting ties with manipulative people and seeking emotional support. Avoiding trusting and respecting manipulators is an essential act of self-defense. By recognizing manipulation signs, setting boundaries, and prioritizing one's well-being, it's possible to build healthier and more authentic relationships. An empathic person would hesitate to cause pain to others because they could imagine the suffering their actions might inflict, making them less trustworthy. The fourth type of person lacks empathy and is more likely to deceive or hurt others for their own benefit. The fifth type of person is the one who pretends to listen or fakes listening. Have you ever encountered someone who, while trying to maintain a conversation, responds with a simple, "I understand," or "Is that so?" without truly engaging in the discussion? Not only can this be tedious, but also disrespectful. The worst scenario occurs when the person responds to what you say, but when it's your turn to speak, they pretend to listen, distract themselves with their phone, or agree without showing genuine interest in what you're saying. In a conversation, it's reasonable to expect the other person to pay attention to what you're sharing. Thus, if you find yourself conversing with someone who shows no interest or gets distracted by their phone, indicating genuine disinterest, it's appropriate to end the conversation. There's no logic in extending a conversation directed at someone who seems not to be listening or doesn't care about what you say, and you're not obligated to invest your time in someone who doesn't value your words. Don't hesitate to interrupt the interaction or even express your decision to leave. There's no need to maintain respect for someone who doesn't show appreciation for what you share and prefers to pretend to pay attention while being distracted by their phone. The sixth type of person is the one who perpetually faces problems, lives amidst conflicts, and claims that life is a difficult sentence with each day bringing new obstacles. They're never satisfied with anything, but also don't do anything to change that. This person often complains to everyone, mentioning constant difficulties and declaring ignorance about what's happening. Caution is required when dealing with this profile, because if someone is continuously involved in an endless succession of problems, it's not merely coincidental or a cosmic conspiracy against them. In many cases, the person themselves contributes to their difficult situation by making wrong decisions and repeating mistakes without learning from them. If you involve yourself with them, these problems might reach you. It's possible that this person also struggles to control their emotions, so it's advisable to maintain a level of skepticism toward this type of individual. If you feel compelled to help in the face of this person's narrative full of difficulties, it's important to be aware that their problems can easily become your own burdens. Remember that someone who seems to attract obstacles and drama often encounters genuine difficulty in their own life, and surely you don't want that difficulty to transfer to you. Therefore, it's prudent to exercise caution when dealing with such a person. This suggests that subtly they may be provoking you, casting confusing words, and skillfully feeding doubts. The eighth type of person you should avoid trusting and respecting are toxic individuals. It's essential to maintain healthy relationships and preserve emotional health. These people have a habit of spreading negativity, undermining self-esteem, and creating a harmful environment. Toxic individuals can manifest in various ways, including constant criticism, emotional manipulation, and disrespectful behavior. Their presence often results in a destructive atmosphere, harming happiness and productivity. The negativity perpetuated by toxic individuals can become contagious, affecting those around them. Maintaining healthy relationships requires identifying and distancing oneself from these harmful influences. Self-esteem is often compromised by toxic individuals as they fuel doubts and insecurities. Respecting oneself means recognizing the signs of toxicity, setting boundaries, and prioritizing one's emotional well-being. Assertively communicating and expressing discomfort with toxic behavior is crucial. However, if negativity persists, distancing becomes an essential measure to protect one's mental health. Avoiding trust and respect for toxic individuals are practices of emotional self-defense. By identifying harmful patterns, setting boundaries, and cultivating positive relationships, it's possible to build a healthier environment and promote enriching relationships. When you notice this behavior, you should end the relationship as soon as possible. Sincerity and integrity are fundamental in any relationship, and being around two-faced people can be toxic and harmful. I hope this message has been helpful. If you like the video, please like it. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so now. It's very important and costs nothing.